Welcome, Rachel. My name is Dylan, and welcome to the Off Menu Insights podcast. So, here we're going to talk about your company and just get to know you a little bit. So, to kick things off, if you want to introduce yourself and talk to us a little bit about Once Wild Pet.
Absolutely. And thank you for having me. This is an awesome way to share our story. So, very excited to be here. I'm Rachel Machado. I am co founder and CEO of Once Wild Pet. We are a regenerative pet nutrition company. So, everything we source is grass fed, pasture raised, and regeneratively sourced. I'm based in Denver, Colorado, and our company has been live for less than 6 months. So, we are brand new right now.
Very nice. Very nice. No, I love it. I love the branding. Just being brand new, tell us how you got the idea. If you have any partners in the venture, and just really why you started it to begin with.
Yeah, absolutely. I have never really considered myself a person that should found a startup. That's never been really in my blood. It was really like once the idea came to me, it was kind of like someone has to do this. So I spent a good chunk of my early career in global public health. Actually, I was at Gates Ventures, which is Bill Gates' private office, and spent a lot of time thinking about like what causes positive health outcomes. And the answer was pretty surprising to me, at least working in a global health role. It's not about intervention, it's about increasing GDP. The higher people's income is, the more likely they are to be healthy and thriving. So really started to think about like how can we support folks in a low income setting. And a lot of the countries that I was thinking about in that role were really agriculture based economies. And so I started to really find myself loving agriculture and thinking about how can we support farmers and ranchers at the very base and drive positive health outcomes from a nutrition perspective. So slowly found myself shifting from global health towards working more in the food system. And the idea for Once Wild itself came much later, but I was sitting at dinner with a bison rancher based in southern Colorado, my own home state. And we were sitting at dinner and she's doing all the right amazing things. She's managing her herd regeneratively. She's first generation rancher and really like an inspiration for me. And she was talking about just kind of like the economics of her own business. And she was talking about the organ meat, the piece of the animal that we now as a company source. That's the one piece that she wasn't able to sell or find a really great market for. And in my head, it kind of went off. I'm a dog mom myself. In my personal life, I've always been obsessive pet lover. And in my head, I'm like, I'm always looking for high quality organ meat options for my dog because he's like 10 times more wolf than the average dog. Like that kind of feels like a biologically appropriate thing for him to eat. So it kind of sparked in my head like someone should be buying this really high quality organ meat and supporting ranchers by paying them more for the products that they're raising. And then it wasn't until a bit later when it just kind of became personally a really good time to think about a pivot from a standard 9 to 5 corporate role. I was starting to think about like what something slightly different that I could do for my own personal journey. And it worked out well that one of my best friends was also kind of on that journey of like, how can we build something of our own and own our lives a little bit more. And we just happened to be in the same light phase at the same time. And it worked out very well because she, my co-founder, Sanjana Smith, recently Smith, is a designer. And so I have all of the like supply chain ops, accounting, finance background from the consulting days that you know that I have, but she has all of the like creative marketing brand design skills that I don't have. And it was just this really crazy serendipitous thing. We're in the right phase of life at the right time with perfectly complementary skills. And that's when we really decided, like, let's create our own thing. And that was probably a little over a year ago now today. It took us a while to set up supply chain before we got launched. And now we've been live for about 6 months.
No, I love that. And I know when we were talking previously just about the positioning and being willing to go after it and really make something happen and based off of a need. And I think it's really helpful too, focusing on the regenerative side. And so I'd love to have you talk more about that. But then what a pair with the two of you. And it just works out that way. I love to see that. I think number one, when you were looking at this, were there other competitors? Like what was on the market already that was similar? I know you have your own pet to feed and your own dog who, by the way, is just like awesome and is the own star. of the brand. I mean, I was telling you on your website, I was like, this is actually like a really good website. I like this. So
Thank you. Yeah. And we got, I mean, my husband and I, we adopted our dog. He's 5 years old. We got him when he was like 2 months old. And we very much, like we say, we rescued him. Like he was the cutest chocolate puffball. And we just very much like chose an aesthetic and a breed type, but he's a mutt. So it wasn't really clear what he was. But he's definitely the perfect face of our brand. And it kind of happened like by happenstance. I'm overly obsessed with him, and he is a very handsome dog. And he's been like the face of our brand. And I think that that has caught people more than anything is like my dog Kodo with a cowboy hat. So that's been really fun to have him as the star.
yeah, everyone needs to check it out because it does catch your attention.
It does.
Really, yeah, I love it. What makes you talked a little bit about it, but I think it's worth talking about a little bit more. What makes the product so special? And just beyond the maybe the sustainability part, which I think people can
Mhm.
understand and is worth talking about more, but what makes the actual product so special?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I mean, I'm a big nerd, so I would say like the sustainability is like front and center for me. But for the average consumer who's not familiar with what regenerative agriculture is, why it's important to have grass-fed meats, etc., we have two products on the market. Our main signature product is a blend of organ meats. So it has heart, liver, kidney, spleen, and lung in it. And I like that was kind of the dream product as a dog mom myself. I think there's just an insane amount of brands who are doing single ingredient really well. Like we also have a bison liver product. You can find bison liver elsewhere and at admittedly like a lower price point if it's not regeneratively raised. But I think the focus for us on 100% organ meat, it's a blend. So dogs are getting a little bit more diversity than just an entire pack of liver over and over and over or heart over and over. Each organ type has a really important role to play in pet nutrition. And so having that blend, especially for pets who are on a really standard diet, they're eating the same thing over and over, having that a little bit more diversity in their diet, it's a really high value trait. It's really nutritious. And so I think we've been a little bit, frankly, like surprised and blown away when people do try our products, how obsessed dogs are. Like, I think it's almost sometimes a bit of a problem that pet parents will try our products, have them in the house, and then get annoyed because they're getting like booped all the time for more treats. So it really is like it's just a really nutritionally appropriate product for dogs, and it might sound a little bit morbid, and we can cut this out. But if you're looking in the wild and you're looking at what wolves, like the ancestors for dogs, are eating, and they're looking at prey, like the first thing they go for is organ meat. It's just so nutrient packed. Something that's like their desired food in a really easy to serve bite that has a little bit more diversity than just single ingredient, I think is the secret sauce. And definitely the pet parents that love us are the ones that are like feeding rabbit's feet and pig snout to their dogs, like getting a little bit more adventurous. My co founder is not in the pet world, and it's been really helpful to have her outside perspective on things. And I'll put forward organ meat, and she's like, that sounds not so fun and pretty. And I'm like, yes, but if you have a dog who's basically a wolf, that's what you want for them.
Yeah, well, she brings a good perspective in the branding because the way the contrast is nice. But I think it's good to talk about.
Totally.
I mean, and you mentioned it's very nutritious, and I don't want to make assumptions here, but it is for all dogs, right? Kind of, would
Mhm.
that be correct? Kind of for all dogs, and then it's more of a treat format, or do you want to talk a little bit about that just to make sure if people don't know?
Yeah, absolutely. So both of our products are treats. They're not a complete and balanced meal. They're fully like a supplemental feed for pets. I have some on my desk, but they're all like little bite-sized guys. They are freeze-dried organ meat, so really easily treatable without any sort of like really strong odor. Like sometimes that's the trade-off that you get with like really nutritious things like tripe, like you get a smell, but they're just a really convenient bite-sized bite for even the smallest dogs. Some of our favorite customers are like senior dogs that aren't interested in their kibble or their food anymore because they're just at that age, they're starting to slow down. But the bite itself, like you can smush it and you're like it's a dry product, but if you smush it, you can smush it and it becomes a really nice like crumble. It's eatable even for dogs that have no teeth, which I think is so fun. But yeah, it's appropriate for like puppies. A lot of our customers are folks who are new to the pet, like new to owning a pet. They're training their animal and they're like trading really frequently. They're like really small, easy for training. I often will use them when I'm hiking with my dog here in the mountains in Colorado. I'll just bring them on the trail and it's like a nice high protein, lean protein that does have all the vitamins and minerals that I would want in something that's kind of supplemental. So that's the product. It's just organ meat. It's freeze dried. They're bite sized. And they come in a cute little pouch with a cowboy hat dog on them.
No, that's good, and just in case people don't know, right, I think it's
Mm-hmm.
important, not only the nutritious part of it, but just the use cases, just to make sure
Totally. Yeah.
that. And I mean, we all know people, and probably you would count yourself included, that the pet is part of the family. So I think there is, at least that I've seen, it's just so much more awareness in the not only the human market for food, but I also think in the
Mm-hmm.
pet food market. So where do you see the industry going in that way? You've kind of worked in the corporate side in some capacities, and now you have your own venture. Where do you see it going, and how can your company be a part of that future?
Totally. I mean, I think in general, it's no surprise the pet industry is just absolutely blowing up, and the like better for you, elevated pet options really are the things that are starting to take off. I think in general, there's a lot more awareness, specifically in nutrition, not thinking about some of the other things related to pet, but specifically in nutrition, pet parents are really not even just the really great in the know pet parents, but the average pet parent is really starting to read ingredient labels and think about what are the ingredients that are in my pet's food. Are they appropriate? Is it like chicken byproduct meal or is it chicken? Like, I think that's kind of the place where a lot of consumers are in terms of what they know. And those are the folks that are spending more on their pet's nutrition, buying things like fresh or frozen, or in our case, like freeze dried foods. And I think the consumer insight, or kind of like my belief of where the next iteration of that comes from, is not just is there beef on the label, but what is that beef? And I think consumers are really starting to get better at understanding that grain fed, raised in a feedlot beef has a different nutritional profile than 100% grass fed beef, and even better, grass or beef that is raised in a regenerative system managed holistically. The data is like really early, but there is a lot of data to show that the actual nutritional profile, like the ratio of fatty acids, the concentration of vitamins, minerals, are different. And so I think what we're really hoping to be on top of is for the consumers who've gotten past that level of like, what does the ingredient label say? It's what actually, like, where actually do those ingredients come from? Are they the best version? And the tricky part about what I do is building the supply chain, building relationships with ranchers who are doing really amazing work, and then getting that product from the ranch to pets nutrition. And it's really hard to do, especially as a small team. So I'm hoping that we're the ones that are really well positioned with the supply chain built out as customers get to that place.
No, well said. So looking ahead now, as we kind of like painted the picture of the industry and just even the average consumer, and where you guys are kind of lining up to hopefully excel in that space, where do you see your guys, biggest milestone coming up that you're aiming for this year? Maybe with scaling the product line or expanding into retail. Where do you envision the company going by the end of this year? Some goals.
There's a lot of goals. We have a lot of goals. We're trying to grow sustainably, quickly. The goal that I set out for the start of this year was by the end of the year to hit $1 million run rate in revenue. I think that to actually get there, we've talked about this before, but there's right now our products are all bison based products, and there is not enough bison raised in North America for us to be able to like supply enough to hit that number. Not enough bison that meets our standard. Only at least like around 20% of bison that are raised would actually meet our standard. So it becomes a really small pool. to get there, I want to be launching new proteins at a slightly different price point would be ideal. So we're actively chatting with really great beef producers, lamb producers, chicken producers, thinking about what a product could look like with them. And then right now, all of our products are available exclusively through our website. That's the only channel that we're selling through. And so we're doing big focus on D2C e-commerce. It's definitely the place where with the margin on our product, we're going to most succeed and be able to like get cash in to then be able to scale. But we are probably in like Q2 going to start a pretty big retail push. And when I say retail, I'm thinking like very much like specialty neighborhood pet that is really serving the clientele that is going to be willing to pay the premium for grass fed organ meats. So we're in some fun conversations with some really cute pet retailers that I'm, as you can see visually, very excited about to really, I think, be a good example of kind of the target customer that we're looking for. So looking at really strategic high visibility placements in specialty retail. Those are some of the big things, but of course there's always more and that list is always changing.
Of course, and it's still early days, but it's good to always have
Mm-hmm.
goals and let people know where you guys are going. And actually just mentioning that, I know it's still early, but what geographic areas are you looking for first, expanding into retail or otherwise? And obviously people should go to the website first, but is there any certain
Totally.
areas?
Yeah, definitely. So right now our products only ship to the US. So we've had some folks in Canada asking for things. The pet industry requirements and labeling requirements are slightly different. So we're focusing on our home. We're focusing on for our D2C business, definitely just the US right now. For retail placements, my husband and I, my co-founder Sandra and her husband, we love the mountains. This is where we live and thrive. It's the place where Coda and I adventure. So we've been really focusing on smaller mountain towns that are really pet obsessed. Some of the places that we've been looking are like Aspen, Vail, Jackson, Telluride, like these places that feel very elevated but still very rooted in nature. A lot of them have these really beautiful elevated pet boutiques that sell accessories and things that are really thoughtfully designed. And that's where I think we fit really well is a clientele that cares deeply about nature, cares deeply about the health of their pet, and is willing to invest in it.
No, that's awesome. And it's insightful too. So if we have any more boutique places in those areas, we need
And
people to,
Chicago, Chicago is a great dog market, and
oh yeah,
there's some really
we,
beautiful boutiques.
there's definitely a lot of pets out here. Everyone's a little bit gritty because you got to get through the winters, as you know. But I
Yes,
think there's
totally.
there's definitely definitely an opportunity here. So
Hmm.
as you continue to grow, we'll definitely have places put on notice. So as a founder, right? It's a rapidly growing market. It's a niche market in terms of maybe like where you're at right now, the type of product, but it's a big addressable market, right? And it's with people who really
Totally.
care. I know we talked about even just the loyalty and just the people that you're finding online who are really finding you early on and care a lot about you. So in
Hmm.
this niche market and you're trying to grow, what are some of the most significant challenges that you're currently navigating? And then how are you approaching these in an innovative way?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's infinite challenges and it changes day to day based on when you're catching me. But I think at a bit more of like a higher level, really the big focus for us or challenge for us is finding those customers who are already pretty familiar with the food system, know enough about regenerative agriculture to care really deeply and want to support a small but growing brand that is really supporting farmers and ranchers. As I've mentioned now a few times, our products do set at a premium price point because we pay infinitely more than some of our competitors for our raw materials because we don't want to be cutting out ranchers by paying a really low price for our raw materials. And so I think it's really how do we find those customers who we're not actively trying to like educate them about regenerative agriculture. It's a really big focus of what we talk about, but it's a really long journey if someone's not familiar with the food system to get them to like it's worth the premium that we're paying right now. So it's how do we find those people who care deeply about sustainability and care very deeply about their pets' nutrition? And as we've talked about here already, organ meat feels like kind of a very niche thing that if you don't have a pet, it feels weird to talk about. But as I've said, there are pet parents who are obsessed with finding those kind of like unique, different proteins like spleen that we have in our products. So it's finding that niche. And I think we're doing that in a few different ways. We've had a lot of success on TikTok and some on Instagram, but our TikTok community just seems to have grown really quickly and is pretty active in commenting on things and trying things and posting about things. So the like dog mom community on TikTok has been really huge for us. They get really excited about sharing about our products and trying them out. And then I think what we're like really starting to focus on to address that challenge of like how do we find the consumer who's really going to like buy and stick around. We're right now starting to scale an affiliate program. We have folks who've already bought product, they're already talking about it on their socials. So incentivizing them in some way, making sure they feel bought in to continue to do so. I think that's going to be for us, honestly, infinitely more successful than spending a lot of money on ads or doing a lot of like UGC work. Like, I think hopefully the affiliate program is the place where people can talk about our products in their own way with their communities.
No, that's a big point in talking to other people, just in whether it's CPG or otherwise. I mean, everyone needs to generate leads, and
Mm-hmm.
social media marketing is typically playing a big role in that. So finding a strong community that would be, as we talked about, trying to have them as recurring revenue, right? Just the loyal customers that will talk to other dog moms and dads about the products, and you won't have to pay for ads because they're going to be selling it by themselves. How has that journey about posting content, because that could be a full-time job, and I know you're wearing all the hats possible,
Yeah.
how has that gone? You tell us a little bit about that, maybe some learnings, and then is there something that you're looking for to become more effective and efficient in that realm of generating leads, those direct to consumer community, and everything else on social media and organic marketing?
You've hit a good point. I think if you were to have asked me yesterday or tomorrow, I think like keeping up with the content generation is a really huge piece of how I spend my time. And it feels like a really big challenge because I'm not a person who, before founding this company, got a lot of energy from like being on social media or posting. And as a young female founder, you get the push quite a bit from a lot of places that you have to build in public and you have to bring people along on social media. And it can take a lot of time to record things, to edit things. It takes time to get used to like being on camera. Like, this feels much more natural to me than setting record on my camera and talking about pieces of our company. It takes a lot of time from both of us. And I think that's partially why I'm starting to feel really excited about an affiliate program where you're almost incentivizing people to create your content for you using their own dogs, their own words of how they relate to the product, how they use it, etc. I think that's kind of part of the appeal as well. There's the cash piece, which we can talk about, but it's just really nice to be able to like open up your app and you see you've been tagged in something and you can easily repost this great video about this really cute dog by this person who loves creating content and loves your product. And I think that's really going to hopefully become a much bigger piece of how we show up online. I think it's just been, I mean, I'm unfortunately don't know how, I mean, we've been successful in creating branded content. I think the like sharing the behind the scenes piece we're slowly getting better at, but it's always this balance of you want to show up when even on your social channels as a like really professional
Mhm.
company that's taking like pet nutrition safety very seriously, like all these things. You want to show up professionally, but you're also having to show up authentically and show the like behind the scenes, the good, the bad, the ugly. It's a really interesting balance to sort out when you're sharing things and when that happens.
Yeah, that's such a good point. It's definitely something that can be approached in many different ways. And I think, at least from, in my opinion, just after talking a little bit and looking at the product and you have to start there with a good product, right? It has to speak for itself, and I think you guys have done that, and I think you have the testimonials for that, even in these early days, where right, it's got to start there. Otherwise, people won't talk about a bad product. It'll stop right there. And then the branding, and I think there's so much character. And it was something I was thinking about earlier when we were talking about your dog. Is that there's also merch. You know, there's merchandise on the website and other ways to get involved. And I think I see that more of people buying the brand. They're obviously buying the product, but I think they want to buy the brand and how it makes them feel, whether it's a status thing or something that makes them feel good because they're treating their dogs very well. It's part of their family for a lot of these people. And almost something you have these evangelist type of people where they want to
Yeah.
spread the word in that way. So I imagine it'll be an ever changing journey. But I think I bring it up because if someone was in your shoes or you were talking to yourself even probably a month or a year ago, what strategies and lessons learned and things that you could do a little bit differently in this realm, which is so important in building people, bringing this brand and the marketing aspect. So I think it could be insightful to hear some about that. So I think moving further with this community that you kind of mentioned, you have a stronger community that you're building on TikTok. What are some ways you're thinking about cultivating that? So you talked about maybe the network and the distribution of that in UGC and continuing to post, trying to post balanced, you know, professional, but also authentic content yourself as the company. How do you cultivate that community though when you kind of have that buy-in? How do you make sure that they're continuously buying in? What are some ideas or things that you've tried already?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot there. We think pretty actively. I think the beauty of a treat product, and I thank myself every single day that we did something food related and not accessory related, is that is inherently, if they like the product, a pretty easily repeated purchase. And we're not selling an item like a dog bed that you spend all this time trying to like get to a customer purchasing and then they purchase once and then they're gone. Like the nice thing is treats people, I mean, people we've had people order in the past 6 months that we've been live. We've had people order every single month, the same people, because they just come back. So I think it's like it's right. How do we keep those people that we've already built the relationship with in the funnel, part of the community, actively engaging? I think there's a few things there. I think there's been a lot of excitement. Like some of the things that have really pushed us forward on social media are doing things like gifted collabs where if you comment, you get like free product. Like if you're a person who gets free product, you're going to be a customer for life because it's just so fun that you were the person chosen. So I think things like that will do. Like you still want to maintain that element of like premium, not like we're giving things away all the time. But I think within the affiliate program itself and the people who are now have like an active stake in building the brand with us, I've been thinking a lot about this question, and something that I want to be able to do is kind of like monthly activations within the community to have not necessarily contests, but kind of like rewarding the really high performers with things like our highest performer for this month on this metric gets their next order free, or gets gifted product from us and a partner brand to do a giveaway on their own social channels, or gets a feature on our channel. Like things like that that just feel like beyond having commission from a sale, something that's exciting and that you're working towards, and you have like a set goal that you're trying to hit within the community. I think the other thing that I'm trying to be really intentional about is almost like beyond transparency with the community. We even had like not just our affiliate community, but our broader like Once Wild Pet Parents who are interested community. There was another independent brand who kind of they sell like natural pet products, and the dog mom community caught wind of a few customers that had moldy product come to them, and like the community took over and started freaking out about this like mold problem, and it had a huge impact on the brand. And I saw this happening. I saw some of the folks that I use as kind of my like markers of what is the pulse in the dog talk mom community. And I just filmed a quick video that was, this feels like a really nice time for me to share all the ways that we ensure safety in our supply chain. If no one sees that, this is fine, but I want the information available. And that's one of the posts that has gotten the most engagement. It just feels like people like that really immediate radical transparency, even on things that feel really boring. Like, I collect documentation from our processors. Like, that's the level of information, but people want that. And it's something that we can do at this stage in our business that not all companies can do that. It's not radical transparency. It's like getting people behind the scenes. Even though it's tiring as a founder to do that plus all the actual running the business, it does feel like the thing that makes people really engage, really actively be like, I'm going to try your product now, because you make sure that we feel that your products are safe, are nutritious, are good for the planet, all of these things.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great idea and just very adaptable. I know all these things are going to take time, but I think that obviously answered a question that they were having at that time and how important that is. Also, I've noticed too with founders, because there are so many hats you're wearing and you've probably been thinking about the company before it was even released. And, there's so much time in your journey, in your head, that people are just getting maybe a first impression and they don't know all of this hard work on the supply chain side,
Mm-hmm.
like you're talking about, just so many details and the level of care, and you're putting your money where your mouth is in terms of the product and just all of this and the branding and the intentionality, just having literally your dog as part of the brand and all of this stuff. And I think that's the human side of it and like
Mm-hmm.
the personalization of it. And I imagine that emotional connection can be made, but sometimes we forget as founders, like, wait, I assume they might know. It might be something unsaid, might feel redundant to mention these
Mm-hmm.
things because we're in you're in that world all day, all week for a long time. But I think those can be so valuable.
Totally.
I love the transparency point, and I think bringing people along in that journey can feel natural and answer a lot of questions. That's really, really great.
Definitely.
So I would say as we kind of come to a close here, where can everyone find you, Once Wild, and learn more about the mission? I think it would be helpful for people who might be interested in not only the product, but maybe more about the mission and the regenerative agriculture, knowing that it might be a little bit more of an educational journey, but something that's really worthwhile and a great investment of your time. Where can they find you? So the website, maybe other sources that you would point them to, and anything else that's coming up on the horizon to take a look at.
Totally. Definitely our website is the best place that has a lot of things. And we just spent about a week and a half trying to update it. So hopefully it's looking good. But you can find us at oncewildpet.com. That's where you can order product. Right now, that's the only place you can order product. And we have on there some high level information on regenerative agriculture and our specific sourcing, like what our standards look like and why we're in this industry. So I think that that's a good place to look. I think it's called like just mission on our website if you click that tab. And then we also have a tab on, we call it wild nutrition, but talking about the benefits of organ meat for your pet and all the things that we put in the product and all the things that we don't put in the product. Those are good places to look at kind of like the high level, I would say, on both of our social channels. So the big places are on TikTok, we're at Once Wild Pet, and on Instagram, we're at Once Wild Pet. And there, we're constantly trying to like talk about regenerative agriculture in different bite-sized ways to kind of bring those people along who maybe are not as familiar, or just like the kind of reminder about the importance. And so those are the places where things are actively being updated and things like that. The last thing I'll say is we also send out a little bit more detailed information to our email listserv about regenerative agriculture, the latest going on, and a little bit more of like a standard format. So if you're interested in us and you want to stay up to date, but you're not ready to like try product now, it's really easy on our website to sign up for our email list. And then, we try to package that what is regenerative agriculture, why is it important content pretty intentionally on that channel as well.
I love it. Well, that answers all of it. Really great talking. And I'm going to be on the lookout on all social media platforms. I can't say I'm part of the dog mom community just yet, but maybe there'll be a dog dad community coming
There
soon.
you go. We
Yeah.
joke about that. My co-founder and I joke about that all the time. We're like, we should just make the husbands record the voiceovers and be on camera because 99 out of 100 like dog creator accounts are female run accounts. So definitely room for more dog dads in the Once Wild community if that ever becomes part of your life.
I know. I think the care and love is there, but it's a movement that'll be coming soon.
Totally. Totally. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been an awesome discussion and really excited about all the things that you have going on to the community that you're building. So, very excited to be meeting you at kind of both of our earlier stages in our journeys.
Awesome. Likewise. Well, everyone, you know where to find her, where to get some good treats for your family pets. So, thank you very much.
Thanks.